the Lifeboat. It's Friday night, and you know what that means. Well, normally that would be the evening that I rearranged my Elvis commemorative plates from the Franklin Mint. However, this evening we're going to be doing question and answer, and there's a reason for that. In the last couple of last 4 or 5 days, a lot of people have come over to the Lifeboat based on the fact that I stood up for Aaron, which is funny, I guess. To me, it's funny. But there's a lot of people that come over here because I stuck up for a friend of mine. But they have absolutely no idea who I am, and they're not quite sure what the Lifeboat is. And there are probably some questions and answers that need to be addressed. I got a beautiful email from somebody today that thanked me profusely for standing by Aaron. I was going to read the email, but I don't want to put the person, so I'm going to paraphrase this. This individual wrote that they really wanted to thank me for standing by Aaron, that they thought it was important that he has friends that would not stab him in the back, but went on basically to say that in their opinion that the people that he was dealing with are really no better than felons. and it struck me as funny as hell that this person probably doesn't know a lot about my channel. So what we're going to do is I'm going to bring you up to speed a little bit. And if you're watching, the hell's the name of that thing? If you're watching Social Blade, you can probably watch some numbers drop as we do this. But I am not an ex-Scientologist. I've never been a Scientologist. I've not been in it. I'm a never-inner. I got into Scientology by accident, into the community by accident. I got brought on to talk to Aaron about a matter that was just felt feloniously. He needed a felon. He needed somebody to tell him how certain people were treated in prison, a la Danny Masterson. And having spent a decent amount of time in prison, I was brought in to kind of give color commentary, and I made a lot of friends. That's it, right? Okay. I'm a convicted felon. I went to prison for bank robbery. I've also been to prison for possession of stolen property, and I have been to prison for a violation of the felon in possession of a firearm law, multiple counts of it, purchasing and selling firearms illegally. Those are the crimes that I have been convicted of. I think it's probably important that you know that, so that you at least are not under the assumption that you're watching an ex-Scientologist or somebody that is. I am an ex-felon. I started this channel, and I never liked the term ex-felon. Well, what the hell? If I was an ex-felon, I wouldn't have to mention it, right? I could not talk about it if I was an ex-felon. I'm a felon. I am no longer in prison, right? So I'm an ex-convict, but I'm a felon. And that shapes a great deal of my life, right? What I do here on the Lifeboat. You may have come over and just checked out stuff where all I talked about was Scientology and what was going on with the AA run, but it's not normally what we talk about here. What we normally talk about here is trying to live your best life. And if you go, well, damn, I've never had a drug problem. I also got one of the most beautiful emails I ever got today from gentleman KW. Thank you for sending me a letter. He said, I'm not your normal audience, I don't think. He said, I'm in my 60s and I've never been addicted to anything. And then he went down through a long list of reasons why he shouldn't be a fan of the show. And then he just said some really beautiful things about the people who are here and some nice things about me as well, which made me feel really good. And this cat knows I'm a felon, so that was not a shock to him. He's been watching for a while, which was also nice. So what we're going to do is, if you've got questions, right, write question big as hell in front of what you are writing out there, right? And I will be more than happy to answer any questions that you have. Boy, thank you. That is a very, very nice thing to say, and I appreciate that. Now, for all of you who pay attention to the Scoville brothers. Yes, today I tried to do a speed run on the Tube of Terror. It was an embarrassment. What did I do? 1 minute and 30 some odd seconds.
You won.
I did win. Yeah, I beat Johnny pretty handily. Now, admittedly, I got a very tough start. If you haven't seen it, you can go over to Chase the Heat. There's also a short because my brother is a sick human being who decided to film me while I was going through capsaicin cramps. If you've never seen a person going through capsaicin cramps, now you have an opportunity to do so, because I was going through a pretty decent set of them earlier. Oh, Alan Valentine, you're too kind. You know, in Johnny's defense, he's right. I did not get a second wave. If you're a chili head, you know what a gift that is, right? If you get just one wave of capsaicin cramps, that really is a lovely thing, because that second one is awful. Yeah, that is a beautiful thing. So I did that today. My previous one was so much faster. It really was. Alan, I think, probably did this because he knows how badly that hurts. Alan is a no joke chili head, and he's no stranger to the capsaicin cramps. And usually gets a little bit more inside info than you guys get. So if I'm telling you that it hurts, he gets to hear the really gory. Am I from New York? My mom. Here, let's put it up there. Question is, are you from New York? My mom was from Brooklyn, and your accent sounds familiar. I don't have an accent. Why, that's the silliest thing? No, to be my family. A lot of my family are from New York, but they were from Long Island. I spent the majority of my youth in New England, in Vermont, in that area. I did spend some time around a lot of people from Massachusetts as well. So the whole Northeast, but you're really hearing like a Vermont, New England kind of an accent mixed with being raised by New Yorkers is probably what you're seeing there. I can't put that one up there. I'm sorry. I would love to put that question. I'm sorry. I hit the wrong one at the last second because I didn't want to put up that question. Yeah, absolutely. This is a good one here. Question. I can spot a beautiful soul when I see one. That's good enough for me. Thank you. That is a really kind thing to say. So happy to have found your channel. I'm a survivor of childhood abuse. Do you have any tips on healing? This is the hardest thing in the world for me because it is so outside my wheelhouse. And what I mean by that is not the trauma end of it, right? Because in a lot of ways, trauma is trauma. But what I would say is this: when I started to heal for the problems that I had, it was because I surrounded myself with people who had the same problems, but had already healed from them. So that when I started to say things, I didn't have to spend 45 minutes explaining the unexplainable, right? Totally different situation, obviously, me versus you. But I got out of prison and did heroin again and went back to prison, right? This defies logic. Nobody on the planet could be that dumb, right? Who could be that stupid? How could you get out of prison, do dope? So you got to try to explain that to somebody who has never been addicted to heroin. And all they can think of is, why would you have done it again? Like knowing there is a chance that it could get you could get addicted to it again. How could you have done that? Well, you can't really heal around people like that, right? Because you'll try to explain the unexplainable. But if I get in a room of 30 people who are recovered heroin addicts and I say, I got out of prison, I did all right for a little while, and then I started to do heroin again. Nobody in the room goes, why? Right? They don't need me wasting any time trying to explain the unexplainable. They go, okay, yeah, makes sense. So what are we doing now to make sure that never happens again? So in answer to your question, there are groups of peer support groups that are popping up all over the place that are similar to the kind of things that we do on the Lifeboat. They're not only on this platform, but on many other platforms. And especially for things like childhood abuse, I would find groups that are difficult to get into, that are not open to the public. There are subject matters that sometimes when you do an open forum, the scumbags can really have a good time with it. And I would hate to see that happen. But I would find groups of people who have been through the same thing, because that, for me, I have watched what kind of healing that can do. And it is amazing. Thank you, Arlene. You know what? It's kind of funny that you say that. Arlene says that she loves watching me with Aaron because she enjoys my insight. I was watching Aaron today, and I was trying to kind of put my finger on why I dig his SPTV content over other people's. And that is actually what it is his insight. You know, today he was doing, I don't know if you caught the video he did on the Cardone woman who was apparently not in Scientology for the last 6 years, but hanging out with the Cardones in spite of the fact that she is not a Scientologist. And that to me was, okay, so she's not a Scientologist, big deal. She's another person who left Scientology. But, you know, for the insight of Aaron, for how many families don't get to talk to their brother because this person is, you know, deemed no longer, you know, okay by the church. But because of where these people are in that echelon, you guys can hang out. You could do business together. You can do that. And the kind of hypocrisy that he sees, right? It's the kind of hypocrisy that I would spot, or Russ would spot, or anything that we see that happens in a prison setting or a criminal setting or something, because we spent so much time in that life, right? I pull up at a red light and people are sitting and having a conversation. I'm at the red light. I'm like, those two are dealing dope at that street corner right there. Guaranteed that's what's going on. That guy over there is a lookout. He's not standing there doing nothing. He's a lookout, which means there's somebody either running dope from corner to corner, because that's just, I spent a lot of time in that life. And I think that Aaron, because of what his position was inside Scientology, he has left with such an interesting ability and an interesting perspective to be able to uniquely explain it to never-ends like me so that it makes sense to me, right? Like if I had just watched that video done by anybody else, I don't think I would have realized that it was just such a beautiful example again of the hypocrisy that is that entire organization. It's just disgusting stuff. That's a very kind thing to say. I appreciate that. I really do. Jen says, I admire your openness. We all have a past we can overcome. And you have what you do for people is in need is wonderful. Thank you. I appreciate that. I really do. A lot of what I do, and I feel weird sometimes sitting and taking a bunch of credit for this because I'll keep it real. This is my sobriety model too. You understand what I'm saying? There are a lot of people who come here for help and support. I come here for help and support. I come here every day, and I'm the one who talks so that we can keep everybody else here talking, right? You need background noise, and I'm the background noise. But you know what? If you go back and watch old videos, there's other people that sat in this chair and did background noise. And you know what? The boat does the same thing, whether I'm sitting in it or anyone else is sitting in it, because what makes this unique is the fact that the people who come here don't judge one another. And the people who come here look for the things that make us unique. I mean, the things that make us all the same, so that we can then celebrate the things that make us all unique. If you can come to believe that that there are things that make us all exactly the same, then you stop caring about all of the things that make all of us different. And you know what? It's a big world we live in, and it's so easy to lose perspective. And you know what? For lack of a better way to put it, people, no matter how you gift wrap this, I'm an entertainer, right? I mean, that's really what I do at this point. I'd like to help people stay sober, right? But if I don't kind of make this fun, well, then no one's going to get sober because no one's going to watch, right? So it's a very odd thing that we do with YouTube and with what we're doing, right? And it's sometimes easy to lose perspective on the real world, right? Today we got some hostages released, right? A young boy and a grandmother, I think, and there may have been one or two others who got released. That's huge, right? I mean, there are people around the world that are going through some really, really serious shit, and sometimes we lose perspective on it because we get wrapped up in some of the small stuff that goes on in the little microcosm worlds that we get wrapped up in. And I'm not saying that, I'm not downplaying people that don't treat one another nice or anything else. I'm not, but it's occasionally it's important to put stuff in perspective. You know what I mean? And it all is just right. Sometimes we blow things bigger than they can be. Question: how did you and Aaron link up, or how did he know to ask you about the Masterson coming experience? It's a good question. So my brother was had been watching AA Rum before I had ever got turned on to him. And he had told me about the channel. We had been talking about Tom Cruise or something about Scientology. And he said, you got to check out this channel. So I started watching it and I left some comments. And I think I had even shot him an email or two. And in the emails that I sent him were always, do you happen to know this certain guy? Because I know a Scientologist who lives in Clearwater. And, I didn't realize at the time that every Scientologist lives in Clearwater. I thought maybe it was a smaller community than it was. But so I had sent him a couple of emails. And I just sent an email that said, look, bro, I'm not trying to jump on your channel. I got 3,000 people, on mine. But take 3 minutes to ask me some questions about how this cat's going to get treated in prison, because I don't think what you're getting a real accurate picture of how this goes down, right? The California white boys have a system set up, and even the yards that he was going to be going to, they're really the protective yards that people think in their head as protective yards still have stone cold killers on them, right? Those stone cold killers who get in trouble and need to get put on protective yards, they don't have levels of protection, right? They all go to the same place. So I just wanted him to kind of understand how that worked. And he phoned me right up, and we started talking on the telephone. And when I said to him, oh, by the way, I sent you a couple of emails. Do you happen to know? And I mentioned our mutual friend, and he just went, you got to be kidding. Do I know him? He said, not only do I know him, and we started shooting back and forth stories about our friend. But the funny thing is, I know this guy as not a Scientology, right? Not a Scientologist. I'm a WOG, right? So for me, my interactions with this cat were way different than Aaron's, which made it fascinating, and it got us talking. And let's be honest, we're entertainers, right? And you guys took to me, right? The first time that I went on AA Ron's channel, I think it was probably because you wanted to hear that he was going to be punished. I think that had something to do with that. I think people didn't want to hear that he was going to just go to some place where he was going to watch TV and be left alone for the rest of his life. That's not going to happen. And when people hear that, I think they kind of, I think that probably made me more popular than my personality did, but whatever, right? It got a lot of views. And, when things get a lot of views as a content creator, you think, well, if I get a chance to put, Tommy back on, maybe I will. And then we struck up a friendship, when he said, I'm going out to LA, and then there were a bunch of people that started making stupid threats. If he went to LA, he was going to be in trouble and there were going to be people waiting for him. And I said, hey, I'll go to LA with you. You know what I mean? If people are threatening you, I'll go. Like that's kind of in my wheelhouse. I don't care. And he said, are you serious? I said, of course. And we went out and we hit it off. Aaron and I get along. The guy's got a great sense of humor. He's generous to a fault. He's fun to be around. So yeah, that's how we linked up. And, we've struck up a friendship. We don't do as many videos as we used to, because you guys get, you get sick of seeing us, eventually it just kind of works that way. And I'm a bit of a one-trick pony, people. You know what I mean? It's like, I am kind of here I talk about whatever I talk about. But if I'm going over on Aaron's channel, there's certain expertise that I bring to the party. Over here, it's a little different. Christy Caldwell says, and I think this is so important. Christy Caldwell says, you know what, Tommy, please let everyone know you do not have to be an addict to fit in here. You know what? And this coming from the queen of the normies. Very often, back in the old days, the people who do drugs would refer to the people that didn't as normies, because we're kind of blown away that there are people out there that didn't do dope. Most of us don't understand the concept of trying to get through life without having a crutch like that, because we felt so uncomfortable in our own skin. So, but Christy has been no, we have a huge group of people here that have never done dope. It's astounding, actually. It isn't anymore. It used to astound me. It makes a lot of sense now, because I didn't understand, and a lot of people don't, that if your drug of choice is alcohol, alcohol is the symptom, not the problem. If your drug of choice is heroin, heroin is the symptom, not the problem, right? That's a hard thing to wrap your brain around, but it's a symptom. And there are so many other types of trauma that, symptoms, it doesn't really matter. If the symptom happens to be you have an eating disorder, and my symptom happens to be that I'm filling my body with heroin, peer support does wonderful things for both of those. The opposite of addiction is connection. The opposite of almost everything bad is human connection. And we are lacking it. And the crazy thing is that this is what's killing it, right? But this does have the ability to bring people together in a beautiful way. It's happening. And it is. It's the reason that long form, what we do here, we've been picked on for doing forever. You understand that? Everybody in YouTube goes, you make videos longer than 3 minutes, you're an idiot, right? I mean, that's what everybody told me when I started making videos. If you go longer than 3 or 4 minutes, nobody watches anything longer than 3 or 4 minutes. What am I going to tell anybody about getting sober in 3 or 4 minutes, right? But long form started to take off because there are a lot of people out there that dig content that actually have, that requires some thinking and some hanging out. And so it's we've been blessed that there are a lot of people that want to move their life forward. And they'd like to be around other people that are just going to say, you know what, I'm not going to judge you for anything you say here. If you show up and say, you know what, today is one of those days where I would like to hold so-and-so's head underwater, we all have those days. I'm not going to judge you for those days. I'm not going to judge you for days where you say, today's the day I want to get high. Right? Everybody that has ever gotten sober has days they want to get high. I get them. Right? And I'm 8 years sober. Everybody gets them. If you spent any amount of time sober, right? The reality is it's going to happen. Guess what? If your symptom wasn't drugs, but it was something else, same thing. We're all in the same boat. Clever name, right? Thing's called the Lifeboat for a reason. We really all are in the same boat. Regardless of what sides you're on, I love to see your support for a friend. Friendship like this is rare, unfortunately, these days. You know what? I think it is. Sadly, I think friendship, good, really solid friendship is rare. But I'll tell you something. We're talking about the opposite of addiction being connection, and how this allows people from all over the world to meet one another. And you say, yeah, but you're not building relationships. You're sending text messages back and forth to people, right? I mean, this isn't how you build friendships. It's almost like fake connection, right? If you look right under the generous donation from the beach, the comment below it is from Alan Ballantyne, and he wrote, "The beach, thank you. Alan Ballantyne I met through the Lifeboat. And a month and a half ago, Alan flew here to stay with me in Tucson for a couple of weeks. We had a ball. We went to actually it was in September. We went to the Danny Masterson trial together. It worked out that he was out here for that. But I'll tell you something. He's one of my best friends on planet Earth, right? He's a brother. And I met him in this forum, and what we had in common, right, was the fact that both of us had put drugs in the rearview mirror and wanted to not have that be the only thing we conquered in life. That's a big thing. It's one of the reasons that I love Alan the way that I do. It's one of the reasons that I will call, Alan puts up with a lot of crap too, because you don't want to be Captain Tommy's best friend, right? Because everybody will email you, and everybody will, if they want to know how I'm doing, they bust his chops. If they feel like I should hear something, they bust his chops. But Alan is, it's more than just the fact that he's sober. Alan's not just sober. Alan is sober. Alan lost an entire body, right? He lost literally a body. He was a guy that was in the 300-pound range that lost, he got down to 170 pounds. That's incredible, right? But it's not. It's one more thing in that series of dominoes that happens when you start following a game plan that has nothing to do with sobriety, by the way. It has to do with living life. It has to do with attacking things completely different. It has to do with putting pencil to paper every single day of your life. Okay? Journaling, doing very simple things, making your freaking bed. You'd be really shocked how small things, if you do them consistently, can change your life. And Alan has changed his in so many ways. And I love being around the cat. I really do. He's just one of the most positive people on earth. I am the noise opera. It's another human being that is absolutely one of the most positive people you're ever going to meet. And he didn't used to be. We have people on this boat that have done transformations that you wouldn't believe if you watched. So if you're in a place in your life that you're unhappy, this is a great place to come and try to decide to be something better. I discovered you when I saw you on Aaron's channel. You guys are both a couple of the most genuine, caring people. Your lives have quickly become an important support group for me. Thank you. I love that. How cool is that? Joni, that is above and beyond. Thank you so much. Again, Joni, gifted 5 memberships. So appreciated. It really is, Joni. Found you through AA Run. Well, we get that a lot. We get that a lot. I love it when people are catching up on top speed. Whenever I see a comment that says, I'm catching up on 1.5 or I'm catching up on double time, I just want to start trying to do like the Micro Machine commercial guy from the 80s. They used to just tear this up, go as fast as possible. I couldn't just just tear it off. I didn't mean to be mean to the people, but thank you. I love all of you guys. I really do. You know what? I catch crap for that too, by the way. Somebody said to me, you guys stop telling people you love everybody. You don't love everybody. You're damn right I do. Anybody that shows up and says, I want to be better than I am. Tomorrow, I would like to be better than I am today. I have a love for every single person on planet Earth. If I can find it.
Right below SPTV attention word.
Well, see, we may not be on the same screen at the same time there, Johnny Scova. Look at this. Do you have any idea how far behind I am? Oh, people, forgive me.
I just thought Kim Roy would get your attention.
Well, Kim Roy got my attention yesterday. I had a comment from Kim Roy yesterday. Kim Roy was a
20 days sober today.
20 days sober. Was that for Kim? Kim Roy, 20 days sober today. God bless you, Kim Roy. I had a friend named Kim Roy growing up, which was why Johnny got a kick out of that. I grew up with a Kim Roy. Jen Nelson, thank you, Jen. My goodness, there will be nobody left on the boat who's not a member by the time this live chat is over. You guys are fantastic. You really are. A close friend of our family was convicted of armed robbery and died in prison of an overdose. His name was Luke Janis. Thank you for saying his name. Thank you. I mean that. Thank you for saying his name. A close friend of our family was convicted of armed robbery, and he died in prison of an overdose. His name was Luke Janis. And when Luke Janis was born, nobody in the world thought that he was going to die in prison of an overdose after an armed robbery. And the sad thing is that in that DNA was the exact same blueprint to be the president of the United States. Drugs are an awful thing, right? Alcohol and drugs kill people. The fortunate ones often end up when the suffering ends earlier. I'm sorry, but it's the truth. You know, for Luke, maybe Luke is in peace, and that's a beautiful thing, because there are so many people who are addicted that will be on that merry-go-round their entire life. Russ and the rest of the comics would call it doing life on the installment plan, right? You're doing life in prison. You're just doing it in installments, and I think it's worse. I really do. It's just enough freedom to make you dream again when you go back in. I personally am not going back. It's Chicklets. What a great name. Hey, Tommy, I don't chat much, but I love your channel and all you do. I literally don't care about your past. You're a great person. Thank you, Chicklets. For a lot of people, Jody, you knocked that off. I know that there are a lot of people that really do not care about my past, and I really appreciate that. I do. Thank you again, Jody. But honestly, I'm getting the guilt. And I don't want to get the guilt. I bring up my past often, people, because it's important. I don't walk up to people in my real life outside of this and say, "Hi, I'm Tommy Scoville. I'm a heroin addict." Never been that dude, right? 12-step people sometimes do that, right? There's a really good chance I'm going to tell you I'm a drug addict within the first couple of minutes of meeting you. But it's not my opener. It's not my icebreaker. But how the hell am I going to tell you what I do for a living and not tell you? Right? Like if you say, "Hey, what do you do for work?" There's a real good chance we're going to be talking about heroin within a few minutes. Right? I make videos online and I try to help people stay sober. Oh, did you go to school for that? No, no, I went to prison for that. You know, it's and the more comfortable I am with it, the more comfortable I am coming here and talking about it, the more likely there is that someone's going to say, "Today's my first day, but I'm going to say it today." Right? Today, I'm going to just say it. I'm going to say I got a problem. But, you know, if people seem to do an easier job talking about things they struggle with, it sometimes makes it easier for others. That's the goal. JK says, those who shall not be named regarding AA run have been real quiet the past few days. What do you think they're doing behind the scenes? Honestly, it's a great question. You'd have to think damage control of some kind, but it's hard to do damage control on YouTube without making a video. Silence is not always your best friend when you're perceived as having made an error. I'm not sure. I would imagine that they're trying to figure out exactly how they can come out of this looking a little better, regardless of whose side or whatever. It just was handled poorly. It just was. It was handled poorly, and it shouldn't have been because it's more important than the parties involved. Right? It's a legit cause, and legit causes need to be treated like legit causes. I'm of that personal opinion. What a great name. What a great name. A friend named Crystal Paul. Thank you, Crystal. Appreciate that. I took to you because you're an East Coaster. I like the way it comes across. What are you saying? It's wicked obvious that I'm from the East Coast. Is that what you're saying? Is it wicked obvious that I'm not from the western side of the country? Aaron is a cool cat and a beautiful soul. I agree with you 100%. But yeah, that's such a nice thing to say. That's such a nice thing to say. I want to thank you for it. But it's such a nice thing to say. I'd feel embarrassed putting it up. But that's a beautiful thing to say, Benita. It really is. You know what? There you go. Read it quick, people. Balake says 408 of us and 160 likes. We can do a lot better than that, crew. And that is a really nice thing to say. I appreciate that. Let's talk about this, Mick. He says, I watched Chase the Heat about 30 minutes before this live. The pain looked pretty intense. Yeah, it was one wave. Thankfully, I did not get a second wave, and it's been way too long to worry about it. But you can ask Johnny. 2 hours afterwards, I was still doing this one. I was walking around looking like the cat that was the best. If anybody remembers the last time I did the 13 million, I was like, we can laugh about it now. And then I ended up, people,
Chad sent me a text saying you can laugh about it.
Oh, you got jokes, Chad, huh? Here's the thing. That video does no justice for how bad I'm sweating. Honestly, like Johnny comes up and films me while I'm dying, but it does what you can't see in that video is that like my legs are sweating. My hands are sweating. When you have cat cramps, your ears sweat. Like there's not a part of your body that doesn't sweat. It's just absolutely awful. What are the ones? Okay, let me tell you what ones do here. Ones do one of a couple of things. If I say, for instance, that Snotface, who is a member of the boat, who does rescues on animals. Snot has a fox that is going through some medical procedures and having some tough times right now. This is an animal that she's rescued. So we're pulling for that fox. I believe in the power of prayer. I happen to be a man of faith. So when I put a 1 up, it says, I'm going to be praying for that fox. If you don't believe in God, you don't have to put a 1 up, right? There are people who say, I don't believe in God, but I would sure like that fox to get better. So I throw a 1 up there to just say, I'm supporting the fox, right? There are other people who say, you know what? I do spells, right? So I'm going to throw a 1 up there and I'm going to do a spell for your fox. I don't care what you do for your religion. I really don't. But if you're someone who's so offended that someone is saying a prayer that the one offends you, then you're on the wrong YouTube channel. For real. Like plain and simple. This is the wrong friggin' channel. You should be somewhere else. You're not going to like it here because everybody gets along. So whether you believe in God or not, everybody here just gets along, which is lovely. Right? It's just a lovely thing. Everybody gets along. It's beautiful. We all respect one another, and it's just gone that way. Which, by the way, is one of the reasons I got to do it again. People, hold on one moment. Honestly, people, I would like to have my nose surgically removed. Admittedly, over the course of the time that I've been on planet Earth, I have snorted way too many things. Right? I can't think of too many things that you could snort that I haven't snorted. A lot of, right? Honestly, it's not very great growing up. But my beak never ever healed. It's always messed up. And I use like Navage really helps. It really does. But like I did Navage before I went live. I got Navage every 5 minutes. I want to tell you something. I'm so glad you said this. I am so glad you said this. And I hope you're being genuine. I was addicted to flirting and chasing women. Never did a drug, but it took forever for me to confront my vice of trying not to feel lonely. You know what? People, this is real, 100%. And it's as real as anything else. It's another symptom. I'll tell you right now, I had a period of time in my life where I was not famous for fidelity. It was part of my life. I was a cheater, and that was with everybody that I had ever been with. That's just kind of who I was. And I was just a person that did not spend a tremendous amount of time with people. And it was just, it was another symptom. I figured if there was somebody willing to spend time with me that way, obviously I wasn't that messed up. Right? I couldn't have been that stupid. I couldn't have been that damaged. I couldn't have been that messed up. This girl was willing to spend time with me. And that became another thing that you chase. It's one more thing to make you feel comfortable in your own skin for 2 hours, 4 hours, 6 hours. Maybe the chase buys you 2 weeks. But all of these things are just ways that we try to figure out how to feel comfortable in our own skin when we don't actually feel comfortable in our own skin. So what do? We come up with a bunch, and I mean a bunch of different ways to learn how to be comfortable in your own skin without taking dope or without doing anything else. One of the things you've mentioned is addiction to drama, which is a result of trauma and PTSD. Yeah, I have mentioned addiction to drama. I think it's a result of trauma and PTSD. I think in some cases that may be the truth. And I think that in some cases, Spike, and you can tell me if you think I'm wrong, because I don't corner the market on being right about anything. But I also think that chaos becomes the baseline. Right? Gamblers don't get addicted to the winning and the losing, believe it or not. Like I've worked with a ton of them. I lived in Nevada, worked with a ton of people addicted to gambling, and they're addicted. If they go in and they hit an $80,000 jackpot, they're going to blow the 80 grand as fast as they can because they're addicted to the feeling of that. The next one's going to save me. Well, the next one can't save you if you've got anything in your pocket, right? And that's almost the way, like that kind of people get addicted to the chaos that goes around them when they're in the light. I think of people who get addicted to meth and who spend 2 weeks awake. I had friends that would go out on renters for 14 days and do speed. And for 14 days, they'd be out committing crimes. 2-3 people just running and gunning. When you remove the drug out of those people's lives, all of that chaos of being awake and having 16 disassembled bikes in their house at all times and all of the different things that were going on, all of these kind of things become trappings that they can't get rid of. So I think sometimes it's an affectation that we drag with us from behind, if that makes sense. But I could be wrong. Snotface is here. Snot, we were just saying a prayer for your fox. Well, I was using you as an illustration, but I was still saying a prayer for your fox. Thank you. We can do this. It's a great name. We can do this as you're amazing for showing your true self. You know why you show your true self on the internet, people? Huh? Because if not, someone else will do it for you. Right? I mean, you may as well. People in this day and age, right? You better be. You absolutely better be legit, or they'll just find out. It's not real hard these days. You know what I mean? But no, I wanted to I wanted the world to see that somebody that was doing 7 grams of dope a day and robbing banks to get the money come back. I wanted people to see that you could be so far gone that the world will give up on you, right? Because I'll promise you, outside of about 6 people, the entire world gave up on me. And I'm talking about the legal system. Like you can read what the judge said. You know, he didn't give me a shred of hope. He said to me, he told me how many years he was sentencing me to. He said, but you're going to die in prison. The system, everybody gave up. The world gave up. My family did. God bless them. Right? And I don't preach here, people. I really don't. I do that from time to day on a different network. For real. But I will tell you that I wouldn't be here without my belief in a higher power. I believe in miracles. I will watch them every single freaking day. You do not have to believe in them. But sit in my chair and tell me. I promise you, you'll believe in miracles. You may not believe in God, but you'll believe in miracles. So you'll believe in them quick. Hey, Kat says, you and Aaron are so genuine. No hidden agenda, no books to sell. Keep on keeping on. You both are helping people. It's funny you should say that. I'm going to go get the book. No, I'm kidding. I would, hey, I'd love to write a book. I really would. I just don't think I could pull it off. I don't think, I mean, I got the stories inside me. I just don't think I got the ability to get them out. And if you've watched long enough, people, you realize that's my whole thing, right? I mean, what started me down this road in the first place. I can talk my ass off. Like I don't have any problem communicating. I am very comfortable doing this. But you want me to sit down and try to get what I got here into a written format, and all of a sudden I start really feeling inadequate, and I start feeling I don't know how to explain. I guess I don't have to explain it, right? Because I'm surrounded by people who get it. Whatever makes you feel like when you get that feeling when you're like this, and you just feel like, I got to do this. I got to do it now. I got to get out right now. I got to go get a hit. I got to go get a drink. I got to go get a whatever. Well, that's what makes that feeling happen to me. When I'm sitting there and I'm trying to get what I got inside of me onto paper and I can't get it out, that's what makes me want to get high. Right? And the realization that I can't get it out, that's what used to make me, back in the day, really want to get wasted. And that led to a lot of, life spun out of control. And pretty soon I was a criminal, and it just really got out of control. Your boy did not need surgery. All right. Excellent. Snot, we are very happy to hear that. Anyone who has a heart for cats and other animals is okay by me. How could you not have a heart for this cat? Are you kidding me? This cat comes. You would think that this cat is in this basket all day long. I'm telling you, that's not the case. Although today she spent more time in this basket than I've ever seen her. But normally, the only time that squirrel is in the basket is when I'm doing the lifeboat, which is bizarre but true. Am I lying? She gets up into this basket when I start talking and immediately falls asleep, like most of the people in the comments. SPTV Tattoo Warrior said we write to report Q. You know what? I am putting together, along with a paralegal right now, I am putting together a program that is going to give all of the participants of the internet the opportunity to sign off on a document that talks about the good that the Lifeboat has done, right? And the fact that the Lifeboat was the brainchild of Q. And we're going to be putting this together as part of our push to get a resentencing hearing. All we want is an outdate. We would like him to get what he would have got had he been convicted in the state. Had he been convicted in the state, he would have been a free man already. I think he's done enough time. So the answer to your question is, I am going to be putting together something. Yes, you can. Absolutely. But I'm going to do it in such a way that we're doing it through this paralegal so we can structure them so that we want to inundate the court frighteningly, but we want to do it in a way that doesn't bum them out, right? The last thing in the world we will is do anything that hurts his chance for this. The odds, I'm going to keep it real, people, right? I'm not much for BS these days. And the reason is that I BS the entire first part of my life. So the second part of my life, I'm not going to do that, right? The odds of us getting a new sentencing for him are a long shot. So for those of you who believe in this right here, right, I want you to keep doing that. Right? For those of you who pray, he will do it. God knows who he is, right? It's going to take a miracle. The good news is they're a dime a dozen, right? Amy, you were slammed for saying you were grateful for difficult lessons. Well, that's just plain stupid. Were you slammed for that here?
Nah.
Yeah, I really hope not. Difficult lessons? Kim Roy, 20 years sober. Kim Roy, can you give me a
20 days.
20 days, 20 years sober? Far more impressive.
I was pretty impressed with 20 days.
20 days is fantastic. But 20 years is a
absurd.
long time.
Wow.
Let's see. I'm trying to
Sorry,
think.
Kim, I missed that.
The last time I saw Kim Roy was about 20 years ago. No, you know what? That's not even close. Oh, man. Has it really been that long?
Yeah.
Maybe 40 years ago. The Kim Roy I knew was from
Parts unknown.
Parts Unknown. Not Face. Thank you so much, Snot. You're appreciated, hun. And I'm so glad that your boy didn't need surgery. That is a beautiful thing. Okay. This is a great question. Seriously, you want a good question? This is a good question. Question. What are your thoughts on how to best support AA, Ron, and take away the win that the Church of Scientology has to be claiming here? Number one, I would imagine they're doing a bit of a fist bump, right? But this is what everybody listening needs to realize, that when it all comes right down to it, right? This is a beautiful, beautiful goal. It is. It's a beautiful charity. It has a beautiful mission to free people, right? There is nothing. It's the same thing we do. We just do it in a different way, right? But freeing people is what my life is all about. It's what a lot of us here. It's what our lives are all about. So regardless of what a fantastic mission that is, you got to wrap it up in a really pretty bow. Right? You have to. And the best way that you can support Aaron so that the church does not get a win is don't allow anybody to knock off that bow. Right? Nothing that they're talking about. None of the BS that they're talking about is anything that tarnishes what this man has done and what this man continues to do. So don't let that change how you view him. And don't let it stop you from giving. That's what they're hoping is going to happen. I got news for you. You know the win they're going to get? They're going to go from getting one organization that was out there to two organizations that are out there. If that's a win, they're going about it the wrong way. And I want to tell you something. I texted my boy this morning, and we're guys, right? I'm a communicator. but we're guys. So I texted him and I said, "How we doing this morning, big dog?" Right? You know, whereas women probably would have said, "How are you feeling? Are you handling this okay?" But I said, "How's it going, big dog?" And he said, "Free at last. I feel like $1,000,000." You know what? I believe it. Um, it has to feel like he is free. Oh, can you write to Q personally? Uh, Q is in a communication management unit. You can write to Q. It is a difficult process. You have my email address. I can get you starting this process. You're gonna have to go through a process. He goes through a process. The two of you can do it. One person has been right to Q. Um, it's a process. The CMU is a communication restriction unit. His communication has been restricted for things that they get really angry if you file a lot of lawsuits against them, especially if you win them. If you file a frivolous lawsuit, they make you pay for it, right? He doesn't file frivolous lawsuits, but Q has won a few, so he's on the communication. But yes, email me and I can give you a whole process so that you can try to do that. And if you're approved, you can write back and forth to him. Absolutely. Yes, we have had some very long conversations about what a con man Lafayette was. Uh, L. Ron Hubbard was an epic con man. He definitely was, and people guilty as charged, right? I mean, I did a little of that myself. Um, I never did the religious end of it, but yeah, he certainly was. Jody, thank you so much, Jody. Your generosity is above and beyond. This channel helps me be a better person. I want to thank all of you and Tommy and Johnny. And you know what? That is the right way to say it. I'm sorry, Jody, but that is the right way to say it. I want to thank all of you, right? And Tommy and Johnny. We get cool seats, right? But it is all of you who are the lifeboat, right? Just like it's all of you that are SPTV. Don't let anybody tell you any different, right? Don't let anybody tell you any different. It's not. It's a movement. It is. It's a movement, and they got pissed at the movement was associated with one individual. That's my humble opinion. Now, I promise you guys an apology. I apologize when I make a mistake. I hate that, don't you? Jen, thank you so much. Keeping my powder dry by supporting you. That's a great idea. It really is. I will not be, I will probably never be asking you to send that, but I promise you, there are good things coming that are going to be great opportunities to fight tough. Yeah, Tommy Burt says, sadly, many people do actually overdose in prison, even on their own prescription medication, food being made to be unsupervised while taking it, especially if they normally once sold it on the streets. True, guys will cheat meds for long periods of time to then get high on it. The number of dope overdoses in prison is astounding. I am too stupid to answer this question, and part of me makes me want to stop. You know what I mean? I should stop because you're spending $5 every time you say it. Please stop. Reach out to me because I apologize. I am not understanding what you're asking me. I'm going to try this until it is correct. Can we write to Q in support?
You've answered
I'm sorry. Write to me, hon. I have no idea what you're saying because I think I answered it, and if I didn't, then I don't know how to answer it, and that is the truth. I am in Al-Anon, and I am so much stronger. Awesome. I am so glad to hear that. That is getting help. That is learning from other people who know what you are going through, and that is fantastic. And thank you so much. I am Linthanda. Boy, oh boy, I am not going to pronounce this right. Thank you for creating a safe space and an incredibly accepting and supporting community. Plus, you are a fellow trekker and a cat lover. I am both of those things, to be sure. All right. Let me just make sure I don't want to miss any of this. Okay. I think I don't want to miss anybody that okay. So, people, Martha Simmons, I have been researching a low histamine diet. I've actually talked to my doctor about a low histamine diet. I have even been doing, yes, I have been researching it. And I promise you, I will continue to do so. Jeremy Shelton, I am getting ready in 2 seconds to absolutely lose my mind. Could you hold on 1 second, folks? I'm trying to get to the end of this. I'm so far behind, people. I am embarrassed. I am so far behind. New member, thank you so much. You look fantastic. You know, people, I do what I can to keep these things to an hour as close as possible. I really do. I know it's fun to go longer. God grant me the serenity. That's a beautiful thing. When I go longer than an hour, the big red button does not push us the same way. And I know that that is not going to be as much of an issue because of the amount of love that we're getting. Oh, he's going to love to hear this. Mischief says, related big time to Johnny's alcohol video. Thank you so much for sharing that with us, Johnny. You know what? Johnny's sobriety means more to him than anything on earth. We spent a long time talking about this today, actually. And it's going to mean a lot to him to hear that. All right, people. Gets us right to the top of the hour. Look at this. We got 3 minutes left to spare. When I screw up, I apologize. And this is something I feel strongly about. It's I have a code that I live by. I don't think it would make sense to the vast majority of people on planet Earth, to be honest with you. I just don't think that it would make sense to most people. But it's my code of conduct. And it's the reason that if Aaron did say, hey, you know what? I need you to have my back. And that literally means coming here right now. I'd do it, right? I would do that for Alan Ballantyne. There's a lot of people I would do that for. If you're a friend of mine, there's not much I wouldn't do for you. Part of that also is that if I make a mistake, I own it, right? If you don't, you're in the process of relapse. I promise you. It may not make sense to you, but the longer you hang out here, the more it will. But when you start doing things that you know are not the right things, or if you start doing things that are outside of your own code of ethics, then you're in relapse. And it's just a matter of time before that relapse ends with you with a needle in your arm or a bottle in your hand or whatever it is that is your drug of choice. And I don't allow that to happen. So it became apparent today that I made a faux pas. I made a mistake on a video that I filmed. And to be really honest with you, I'm not 100% sure which one it is. They sent me a link, but it was close to the time I was going live, so I didn't have an opportunity to go over it. But to this individual's credit, word got back to this individual that I had made a disparaging remark about he and his bride on one of my videos, and he reached out to me about it to ask me why. Which, number one, I have a tremendous amount of respect for. If somebody does something that upsets you, that's what you do. You reach out to them. It's the right thing to do. So how guys used to handle things. So I appreciate that. And I'm talking about a situation that I don't want to be a guy that allows anything personal to crawl its way into things that shouldn't be. So I'm doing a video where I'm talking about people that I think have done my friend Ron dirty. And during that, I'm pretty pissed. I got on a roll as they started to talk about people. I started to mention individuals that or people that I didn't like, and I lumped into or commented on something that somebody said about Jeffrey Augustine and his wife, who have done some amazing work to fight the Church of Scientology and have done absolutely nothing to muddy the waters in this situation with AA Rod. In fact, in my opinion, Jeffrey has been very supportive throughout this situation of AA Rod. So the fact that I made any disparaging comment about he or his wife during a video that I did is unfair. He didn't deserve that. He did not have anything to do with that situation, and there was no reason for him to be brought up. And I would like to apologize to he and his wife Karen for that. That's my issue with him is personal. It had nothing to do with anything that had happened with Aaron. And for me to do that kind of crap live, that's low budget. It is. It's Cell Warrior crap. It's the kind of stuff that that truthfully makes guys like me sick. And I did it. And to be really honest with you, I had to go back and look at it to realize that I did it. And that's the emotions getting the better of you, and you're not thinking. And you know what? I'm not that cat. I'm not. So my apologies go out to Jeffrey and to Karen. It was I handled that really poorly, and you did nothing wrong in this situation at all, right? And I hope everybody else hears that. They did nothing in the AA round situation to be judged for in this in any way. And the reason that I said stuff had nothing to do with that, and that's out of line. So please accept my apology. I assure you that it is genuine. And anything that that I had a problem with you and I should have discussed just between the two of us, like gentlemen, and we'll do that. All right. Thanks, everybody. I am Captain Tommy Scoville. This here, a basket. By the way, a really, really dedicated cat in the basket. Can you give us one? Nothing? Sometimes she's been known to meow on cue. All right, people. We'll see you on the next one, huh? I'm Captain Tommy. God bless. All right.